With Jimbo Fisher being fired at Texas A&M, there is a lot of noise on who the next head coach is going to be for the Aggies. Names like Dan Lanning, Lane Kiffin, and of course, Coach Prime have been tossed around, but Deion Sanders' name is being thrown all over the place very recklessly of being the next head coach of Texas A&M. When you first hear that noise, you're like, there's no way this possibly happens, right? How does this happen? And today we're going to talk about how this is possible and how it can happen. But then there's also one reason why I don't believe it will happen, at least for this year. Let's get into it. So what really got the ball rolling was yesterday, four-star wide receiver for the 2025 class who committed back to Coach Prime to Colorado when he first got to Colorado, decommitted from Colorado. His name is Winston Watkins Jr. And when asked about his reason for leaving, he said, more than likely, I don't believe Coach Prime will be there when it's time for me to arrive, which again is in 2025, which is 2 years from now. So that was the first domino to fall. And then, of course, Jimbo gets fired. And now all of a sudden you get that noise combined with Jimbo falling. Here's where we're at. So first order of business, the easiest thing to get out of the way, and it may not seem easy, but it is pretty easy when you're dealing with someone like Texas A&M. It's going to be money. The big question is how does money come into play with this? Well, to get Coach Prime out of his first year contract, he would have to pay himself $15 million. So if I'm Coach Prime, I'm just going to make sure Texas A&M pays that for me if they want me bad enough. So $15 million, not too shabby. Okay, well then of course he's going to get a $50 to $60 million contract. He's getting paid $30 right now for Colorado. I'd expect that to double for a place like Texas A&M. For somebody who just got done paying somebody $96 million, I think they'd be okay with a little bit of a pay cut of $60 million, because any of these coaches that I just mentioned, Dan Lanning, Lane Kiffin, they're going to be paying close to the $80, $90 million range anyways, and also have to pay one of those guys out. And if you're saying, Sheldon, there's no way they paid it $15 million. They're paying a coach right now in Jimbo Fisher $75 million not to play for the team. I think they'll be okay with paying $15 million if they know that guy that we're going to be bringing in is going to get us back to a national championship status. So in most cases where money probably is the biggest factor, money is going to be the easiest one here. And that's that Coach Prime wants to leave for a lot of money, but just simply due to the logistics of how it gets covered, I think money isn't a problem at all. Number two, location. It's in Texas. Obviously, being a Texas boy himself, playing for the Cowboys, has a home there currently. He even coached high school ball at Texas. It wouldn't be as a hard transition for him. It's not like he's going to uplift and completely move his roots again. Again, how does this make sense for Coach Prime? It isn't that hard of a transition, and we're going to get into how location is going to affect recruiting, because that's the next step here in just a moment. But for him, I would, again, if he's going to move once again, because he just established himself in Colorado, he loves Colorado, and Colorado's absolutely beautiful. If there is a state that is an easy transition for him, it would be Texas. Now, number three is recruiting, okay? Now, although he's done a great job thus far recruiting guys to Colorado, there's just something about, look, getting a Florida boy, getting a Texas boy to leave that state to head to Colorado, where it is cold. I know you guys don't want to hear that excuse, but that is a small factor for some of these kids, right? Is a factor that is playing into it. So that's number one. So playing in Texas, which it has its cold days, nowhere near Colorado, is huge. And the amount of talent that is in Texas, and if you were able to recruit in Texas and keep these boys close to home, is absolutely huge. You'd be surprised how many of these kids, they want to go off to college, they want to have fun, but they want to keep it in a close proximity to their parents, so their parents are able to come and see them. That is a massive advantage. And number two, like I said, he coached high school ball. He already has been to these schools. He's traveled around. He's had conversations with these coaches. He has an inside scoop that most coaches don't have already. So he would come in on the ground running. We saw what he was able to do at Colorado. He had to go to Colorado and bring Louis. The amount of talent that is stockpiled at Texas A&M right now is absolutely insane. Just 2 years ago, they had the highest rated recruiting class of all time. You may got to bring some Louis, but you're probably just bringing a carry-on, not the full luggage. Number four, cream of the crop, ladies and gentlemen, SEC. It's the Mecca. It's the holy grail of college football. It's where all coaches want to end up. It's where everyone wants to be, is the SEC. With the realignment next year of all the conferences, you're really looking at the Big Ten and the SEC as the two power dogs. As the top dogs in the ACC, they're trying to get out. The Big 12 is trying to find an identity. They're doing a great job of surviving, but they are nowhere near the star-studded talent of the SEC and the Big Ten. And just think, not only do they want to go to the SEC, but they want to play in a big-time school for SEC with a lot of money and a lot of clout like Texas A&M. For the fact that Dan Lanning, who has a phenomenal gig going on at Oregon, is being considered for the job at Texas A&M, that should tell you something. Lane Kiffin, who is in the SEC, who is at Ole Miss, who has a phenomenal cush job at Ole Miss, is now also being considered for A&M. Those are big factors. And remember when Auburn was looking for a head coach, Coach Prime's name was tossed into that hat, but I don't believe Auburn wanted to take that risk of going out of their way and going after somebody like a Coach Prime. But once what he's done already in Colorado, generated over $200 million in sales, I think coaches are going, maybe we missed out on something that was pretty big there, and Texas A&M is going to take their time on this one for sure. And number 5 reason for why Coach Prime could end up at Texas A&M is he's not afraid. And what I mean by that is a lot of these old coaches that are going to come in, like a Dan Lanning or a Jimbo or a Lane Kiffin, they're kind of stuck in their ways. They're like an old salesperson, right? They have bad habits that are hard to break. And something that Coach Prime did just a few weeks ago in switching out his offensive coordinator and Sean Lewis, he got a lot of critique for, right? But what it showed is he wasn't afraid to make a change. He's not committed to a guy that was committed to him. He's not afraid to make a big decision, whether it may be right or wrong. Sometimes it may not work out, but at least he's not afraid to make that decision. We see so many times that coaches that come in are afraid to sit down their own guys. They don't want to fire the guys that they've been working their way up to get to this point. And sometimes they shoot themselves in the foot and they go down with the ship because of that. Coach Prime has been proven that I'm going to put the best people that I believe in the position to win. Now, that goes back to the next question. Does Coach Prime know what's best? That's up for Texas A&M to decide, not us. So that to me is a compliment, right? Of, hey, this guy's going to come in and make a difference. And Texas A&M is in a weird situation. They have every attribute to be a top 10, top 5, consistently performing football team on the football field. They've got the fan base. They've got the money galore. They've got the clout, like I said. They just can't seem to get the missing piece, which is a head coach that brings them back to national status to compete with the rest of the dogs. And I believe Coach Prime is that guy. Now, the big thunderous blow, how this does not happen this year, at least, is family. Obviously, Shedeur Sanders, there's been a lot of talks of him going to the NFL. Coach Prime has said he's not going to leave his father. So that is where things are going to get a little fishy. If he were to go to Texas A&M, would he leave his sons behind? Well, Shiloh could go to the NFL if he needed to. Shedeur can also go to the NFL if he needed to. But Shedeur has a weird situation. Believe if he can finish his college credits in December, then he would be able to transfer again as a graduate and have no issues at all. Travis Hunter, on the other hand, can't go to the NFL, and if he were to transfer, he would have to sit out for a year. So those are some guys that I feel like he is connected, that he does feel loyal to. His daughter, she would still be playing at Colorado, but Colorado's women's basketball team is looking pretty legit. I don't think she would have any issue staying if he were to leave, so that one isn't as big as a factor. Again, Shiloh has the opportunity to move on as well, too. That, to me, honestly, out of all those things we just said, how great all that sounds, I truly believe that the family situation is going to be something that holds it back more than what people realize, unless they can figure out a way. Again, if he can bring Shedeur, maybe Travis Hunter, if Travis is able to appeal the fact that, hey, my coach left here, he could say that my coach left when I transferred here, I'm going to transfer back out. That is a possibility. The rules are very finicky with the NCAA. If it does get appealed, then he would, again, have to sit out for a year, which I don't believe Travis Hunter would want to do that either. So does Coach Prime do that to those guys if Texas A&M were to come and knock on that door and say, hey, here's what's going? I don't believe so. So I think at least he stays for another year, but it is an interesting story that we will continue to keep our eyes on. I want to know from you guys, though. Let me know in the comments. Does he leave? Does this make sense? Is there a reason that I maybe didn't realize of why he can go or why he won't go as well? I want to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments. We'll continue to keep tabs on it. Like I said, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.